Hi, and welcome to the developer commentary and walkthrough for Tribernetica. I'm Mike.
I'm Bert.
I'm Richard.
And I'm Brian, and we are the 63rd Galen, and this is our game Tribernetica.
Now, this is a 2.5D platformer, meaning that all the gameplay takes place on this plane, Super Mario Brothers-esque, but all the assets and everything are in 3D. And the basic premise is you're this robot that can switch between heat, cold, and iron.
Yeah, so this is the first level in the game. It takes place in a mine underground, where they're picking up pieces of old dead robots. So we have like mine carts, and we have pipes in the background that shows that this whole environment is kind of being torn apart, essentially.
It really helped in designing these levels, and that we were able to use Havoc's file format to actually export a whole scene at once. So Brian was actually able to create the level in Maya, and then we can just throw it right into the game. This was actually done using the prefab system in our engine, which allowed us to create an object separately, which then would be duplicated throughout the level.
So there's the rock, paper, scissors that goes on. It's heat beats iron, iron beats cold, and cold beats heat.
Yes. But yeah, now in order to display those to the player, like the fact that you're doing more damage, we have 3 different hit sparks, and the damage you do determines which hit spark actually plays.
So we saw there the cold guy just had an iron guy, and it had the little small blue and white one, so not much was happening there. And then the heat guy just hit another heat guy, and it has the small yellow hit spark that says you're doing like a normal amount of damage. And then if you hit something that's at a disadvantage to you, like that iron guy just there, it's the big red hit spark that lets you know you're doing a lot of damage.
Bert, you want to talk about the AI?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the AI. We ended up doing 3 AIs. Here is all 3 of them that just got annihilated. The first one's just our melee guy. He runs around with a pickaxe and will just come and try to mow you down. The second one is a ranged guy, and he pretty much just stands in place. We can place them, and that way we know exactly what's going to come out from them. And then the third one we call the collector, and he basically will chase you throughout the level, try to shoot you, and then he actually will collect collectibles to get type advantage to you if he can.
I gotta explain what the collectibles are at some point.
Yeah.
Because we haven't even mentioned them.
Oh yeah, so we ended up with 4 collectibles. We had one's the health collectible that only the player can pick up. Basically, just gives him a gear's worth of health back. And then we also had typed collectibles, so that for the player, they give him a quarter of his energy back for that type if he gets one. And then if one of the AIs tries to collect one, it lets them change to being that type.
Now here you're seeing the first boss in the game. We actually got 2 of them in the short 10-week development cycle that we had for just the game part. But anyway, this is supposed to be like this machine that would break down rocks. So it's got this big drill. It's got this laser in the background. And one of the cool things I thought we did here was we played with the depth, the fact that you're working in a 3D world, so we actually were able to put the laser in the back and you can fire you from the background.
So this originally was going to be all cold elemental, but we figured out pretty quickly that all you had to do is be iron, and because of the way the rock, paper, scissors mechanic works, you're basically untouchable by the cold laser in the background and the cold drill in the foreground. So now the laser in the background is a fire laser, which will really mess you up if you're iron, and the drill, I think, is neutral with the ice. It's one of those 2. Basically, to destroy the platform cores, and it brings the core down here. And you have to do this 3 times. Each time the laser gets faster and shoots you more often.
And so this played a lot with feedback as well, right? For player feedback in terms of they did something and then they have something else.
Oh yeah, so you'll notice whenever you actually destroy a platform, it bursts into flames and it goes down. And each of the cores themselves, you didn't even know you had to attack the cores until we put all those little glowy particles on them. Well, laser.
Yeah, heat beam.
Yeah, there's sparks there, you'll see when the laser or the drill hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will mess you up as iron in this one.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then originally the platform that iron can summon a platform as part of his elemental switch thing, and it does damage around it, so that cloud with electricity on it is actually dealing damage. And the damage it dealt used to be really, really high, and so we ended up toning that down because before you could just place that platform below those platforms before the pistons in that boss, and all of them would just instantly die. Here we are in the second level of the game. This is the Wasteland, where you can see some factories in the background and lots of rocks and sort of sweeping terrain in the background that kind of gives you a sense of what the surface of this world looks like. So the development of this level was actually kind of interesting, where it started out just being a lot of really wide open space to really let the ice character, or the cold character, really just get up a lot of speed and do a lot of really crazy jumps. And some of those are still in there, like that one that you just saw. But then it's balanced by a couple different sections that have really tight sections of small rocks that you have to do some platforming over, and they're all filled with really intense and concentrated combat.
There's also good sections full of AIs where if you're just trying to jump and fly through everything, they'll catch you off guard, and also you have 4 of them on you.
Especially if they're iron, because they'll just destroy you with your ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Very quickly. You'll notice that the ice guy, when he's moving very quickly, orients to the ground. This took a lot of influence from Sonic in that regard. So basically, you have to get going up to a certain speed, and then you'll kind of orient to the ground. You can go up all those awesome slopes and do sweet tricks.
So, for this game, we did some shadow maps-based shadows. They ended up being really helpful for here in the Wasteland level. It's pretty cool with the Heat guy. He runs around with the light on him, so it helps illuminate some of those areas, but we got plenty of shadows. We also ended up using the shadows in the boss battle that you'll see later on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So we have this really cool Heat character, and we have the really fun Cold character, and they both were very interesting. The Heat guy felt very traditional platforming, very in control. The Cold guy had his own aesthetic to him. He moved real fast. He could jump real high when he gets going. He's got a lot of motion. Then we had the Iron guy, who just we didn't know what to do with him for a while. We had some ideas, they just didn't work out. We didn't like where it was going with him, and so he literally was this guy with no platform. He didn't have the little electricity around him, and he walked really slow and couldn't jump very high. So he pretty much just had no reason to be. And from there, we pretty much went and fixed him up. We wanted to give him the ability to be a strong platformer and a strong combatant. So we gave him the Electric Cloud, and we gave him his platform with the Electric Cloud in it as well for combat. And then we used the platform to help him be able to navigate to some places he couldn't get to otherwise. And we also let him walk about twice as fast and jump a little bit higher.
Yeah, because I remember wherever you matched his walk speed to his animation, he just didn't go anywhere very fast.
Yeah, because the animation plays at 1x speed, and it would be
A little slow.
very, very slow.
Yeah, now it's like a freaking gigantic gorilla coming at you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to fight him. Ice guy can't jump.
The ice guy's jump height is proportional to his speed.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he can jump.
He can't platform because you just go from standing to standing. You jump like a foot in the air because you're on roller skates. You can't jump with roller skates.
Yeah, he just doesn't
roller
do.
skates.
Well,
now?
ice skates, I guess, would be more appropriate.
He just doesn't do quite as much of the traditional platforming like the same way.
Otherwise, you'd just be way overpowered. Kind of have to switch to fire or iron whenever you get to anything tricky, or else it's going to fall in the pit or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Wasteland doesn't have very many pits or environmental hazards, so ice or cold still does perform a little bit better.
All right, here we have the final encounter with Robo Moose.
First and final.
So yeah, this is a giant robotic moose that shoots lasers out of its eyes.
Also,
got crab legs.
It's got crab legs, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
Yep. So the way that this boss came about was that we wanted something over the top for the end of this game, essentially. And so I started to put it together, and I started to show it on our blog, and then our Capstone advisor, not 5 minutes after I posted it on the blog, walked into the lab and just started screaming at me. Like, what are you doing? What is this thing, and why is it in your game? Like, what is this? And it ended up pretty good.
No one complained when it was finally in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But we had to fight to keep that guy in.
So the moose here has 4 or 5 different attacks. It just queries up an animation, plays it. It's got colliders on all the various appendages that he uses to attack you. And so we had that, and it wasn't really very exciting because basically all he would do is he would run you into the wall, and you have to jump over him and then have him chase you the other way. So that wasn't very exciting. So what I ended up doing was moving the collision geometry up so you can run underneath him and scuttle about, and also added a jump attack so that he will leave the play space for a time and then land on you. Which is really helped by Bert's dynamic shadows. You can follow him, or he follows you. You can follow him following you, and dodge him.
So it turns out gears are a really good tool to debug your lighting system. We had some problems with our specular, and gears would just like pop in and out. It was the oddest thing you've ever seen. Turns out, taking a float 3 in HLSL, pushing it to a float, and then trying to push it back out to a float 3 just doesn't exactly give you what you're looking for.
So we're about out of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Tribernetica. Once again, we're the 63rd Gallon. I'm Brian.
I'm Richard.
Bert?
I'm Mike.
And we'd like to send out a thanks to everybody that helped us on this game. So Ben and Steve were a huge help in the actual development side of things. And then the professors that helped us make this were David Schwartz, Weeze Oizon, and Chris Eggert, Andy Phelps, Al Biles, and Joe Petrick. And then a couple of other students that had some hand in the development side of things were Al Alport and Cameron McKenzie. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for taking a look.